Welcome back to Moving with Meaning. I'm your host, Krystal. We're deep into October's Fearless Leadership Series, a month built for pulling off the mask, shaking off the shadows, and revealing the bold leader you've always been underneath. Last week in Fear Who, we got real about awareness is the first step to courage. Naming your fears so they stop sneaking around your leadership. Well, today we're going to go even deeper. Fear of visibility is so common among leaders because stepping into the spotlight also means stepping into scrutiny. Visibility amplifies the risk of being judged, misunderstood, or failing publicly, which can feel like your reputation and credibility are on the line. For high achievers, used to control and perfection, that loss of safety can trigger self-doubt and avoidance. Yet, avoiding visibility keeps their ideas, influence, and authentic leadership hidden, limiting the very impact they're striving to make. So, today's episode is called Glow Getter. It's all about reclaiming your confidence in the spaces where you felt unseen, unheard, or even unsafe. Because your light isn't meant to dim to fit the room, you're meant to transform the room. In this episode, we'll break down why this happens, how to reframe it, and how to step back into your own power without apology. Let's take a look at what's inside this episode. How fear of visibility creates emotional armor. The difference between spotlight anxiety and soul-aligned exposure. And leading with voice, presence, and worth, not performance. All right, well, this one's gonna be a deep one. Well, because frankly, reclaiming your confidence is like flipping the breaker back on in a dark room. The power was always there, but maybe you shut it off to avoid overloading the system or drawing attention. When you switch it back on, the space doesn't just light up for you, it also illuminates the way for everyone else who's been stumbling in the dark too. That's what stepping back into your glow does in leadership spaces. All right, I want to really get into this because so many things are coming up as we continue to talk about this. So let's get started with a summary for today's episode's focus. When you reclaim your confidence in the spaces that once shrank you, you don't just feel braver, you become magnetic. You start making decisions from power, not protection. You lead with clarity, presence, and worth. And that is when your influence starts to stick. All right, you know what? I really enjoyed that summary, and a few words really stuck out for me. One, you know what? Magnetic. Why? Because you're going to attract both positive and negative, but again, it's for transformative purposes. Another one is making decisions, I guess from power, in a sense, right? Because that's energy, right? We're going to transform that and make it mean something. And then lastly, we're talking about influence. Yes, we have a reputation, and when you walk into the room, we're talking about impact. You're going to influence others around you and you not even know it. Maybe sometimes you will. All right, enough with the dimmer switch. Let's flip this light all the way on. We've talked about why reclaiming your confidence matters. Now let's break down the bright side. The tangible benefits you'll feel when you start showing up as your full, unfiltered self. Okay, benefit number one, amplified impact. Okay, your voice carries weight when you show up as your full self. Amen to that. A lot of times I actually am in certain rooms and I'm just engaging and I kind of tend to sit back, right? And then they kind of say, oh, you ever been in a class? They say like, guys pick a presenter. And I remember being in a classroom with all my peers, not just classmates, in a sense, both in a classmate scenario, but also just in a nonprofit organization group as well. And at one point they selected me, and then I got into different groups, and then they selected me to do that as well. And I'm kind of like, why y'all making me talk? Because I don't feel like I have a presence. But they'll come back and say, oh no, absolutely not. I mean, even at work, they choose me to speak. And I'm kind of like, I don't feel like I know enough about this. It's like, one, you do. And two, how you speak, it's so empowering. It's so exciting. It's so energetic, right? And so what ends up happening is you start to really, just from you getting on that stage, just giving that speech and letting that passion speak out for you. And then also being open to suggestions, considerations, and being wrong, right? And learning in that moment. Wow. You talking about authenticity and impact? That's where it's at. All right, benefit number two, authentic influence. People trust and follow leaders who are consistent inside and out. Remember, so here's the thing. One of my things about moving with meaning and one of my brand is leading from the inside out. Truly, you can fake it for so long, only for so long, right? Before something starts to crack, either the professional armor that you had or even the emotional armor that you have. One of the two is nothing can sustain something that long, right? And even if you make things look a certain way on the outside, the inside is really being, racked with havoc in there. So you really want to make sure that when you do have that level of influence and you're going to step into that leadership, make sure you carry your values with you. Make sure you're taking care of yourself, both professionally and personally. That well-being means something. Okay. Number 3, the last benefit, emotional freedom. You stop performing and start leading from presence and purpose. So, and I think I'm not going to get too much into this because, again, I mentioned before the whole power, presence, performance, things like that. And we've done, even in the last episode or last series, we talked about performance indicators, right? And how you're targeting and measuring success, things like that. So yes, does performance matter? Absolutely. I mean, we're not going to take someone who has a great stage presence but low performance and can't deliver on what they're talking about. That's a different story. We're talking from the perspective of you are performing, but performance alone isn't just enough. Right? And so let's make sure that you are also stepping in the space where others can learn from you, so we can double, triple, and quadruple who you are, because that's important, okay? Just as much as your performance. All right, benefits sound great on paper, but let's be real. You want to see receipts, don't we? Okay, so let's roll out a few real-world moments where reclaiming your confidence turned invisible leaders into undeniable ones. Okay, so we're going to start with, and I love this personas, right? So we're going to start again with the personal ones, and let's keep this moving. So first example in the personal arena, we're going to talk about the quiet connector, i.e. the community volunteer. So before, they stayed quiet and behind the scenes at local projects. Then after they kicked up their courage and tacked in on that awareness piece, after that, they started pitching new initiatives, and guess what? They got voted to chair the committee. Why? Because those ideas and innovation and creativity matters, right? It influences other people. It impacts others in different ways. And once you start to just get out there and get your voice noted, you're going to be recognized just for your mind, for sure, right? But you got to step into that space and into that light just a teensy bit. You know what I'm saying? Test those waters, and then guess what? It's going to be so natural after that. Okay, the next personal scenario that we have here is the boundary builder. Friend or partner, whichever one you have here. Okay, so before, this boundary builder always said yes to keep peace in relationships. Then after conquering that fear, now sets clear boundaries and builds stronger, more respectful bonds. Now, you know what? I wonder if this is something that everyone's dealing with. I feel like it is. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. So people say there are different ways of saying yes. And in this particular case, so again, some is I just want to look cooperative. I want to look like a team player. But in this one, it's just like, look, I just want to keep the peace, right? And here's what I'm gonna say. Try not to be saying yes for that reason to stay in a relationship, just to keep the peace. You need to have that conversation because your voice matters, your feelings matter, okay? And just saying yes, even when you don't want to do something or you want to try to avoid an argument or bring something up, it's just not the way to go, okay? And at some point, if that person's not willing to hear you out and adjust and change and compromise and kind of work through whatever the tension is or stressors are, then is it worth the relationship? Is it toxic, right? Then we need to revisit that. But in the sense of this scenario, right? Maybe that just wasn't it, okay? Or maybe they were just afraid. But after that happened, you, in a sense, felt more empowered. It's like once you said no, you realized, wow, okay, so I can say no and I can set boundaries and they can be respected, right? Because if you respect my boundaries, then you respect me, kind of situation. So once you think and put yourself as the subject there instead of the other person, things, I'm telling you, they get a lot real. You get braver. You know what I'm saying? When you start to put yourself first, think about it. Last one for personal, we have the hidden creative artist or a writer. I'm in both of these aspects. Okay, so before, this individual kept creative work private for fear of judgment. After stepping into their courage and into visibility, they start to share their art online, and they gain a loyal following and started getting collaborations. Hey, you know what? This is something that I'm working on with my daughter. She is extremely in cheer, like this, extremely passionate about it. Okay, and I used to tell her for years, like, you need to be posting stuff, like you have a really exciting life. And she was like, no, I don't. I mean, seriously, if she was like, I don't want anyone to see that, she was just afraid of judgment, really. But every time she did just poke some things out there, she really got a lot of interactions. She got more followers, and people were coming up to her at school kind of saying, oh, I saw you, I saw you, I saw you. So I'm like, come on now, right? You got this. So I think she might be coming in with that, but I realized it as well when I started putting out my thoughts and ideas, maybe just these small little quotes or small little statements of, this is why you should do this. And this is more or less from a fantasy perspective, as being a fantasy fiction writer. I was putting things out there to kind of motivate others in various different ways. And I mean, people were just picking me separate, like, I like that. That hit me. That hit me. So listen, what is in your head is you are not the only one, and you will impact somebody else. Remember that influence. You got it. You got it in you. All right, that's it for the personal scenarios. We're going to jump right into professional and keep this show moving. Professional scenario number one, the silent strategist, or look at this as a mid-level manager. So before, they were always keeping ideas tucked away in senior meetings just to avoid scrutiny. After stepping into their courage, well, they stepped up with bold proposal, and guess what? Landed a high visibility task force role. And this will happen, and it's very true. It's like it's very rare that you're going to see somebody like volunteer for something that is high visibility, high level of difficulty. It's under resourced, under budget, whatever else. Not many people are going to just be like, oh, take that. But that's an opportunity to say, like, look, if I'm going to get this experience somewhere, it's got to be here. Good or bad, in the worst scenarios, you learn the most, okay? And when you also put together like your ideas on how to approach things and things like that, like some people just don't see things, right? And they don't see all of the different lenses, but your idea works, okay? So when you're in a senior meeting, like, they want to hear from you. You're not there to just be quiet and listen. You're there for your input. Use it. All right, next one, the reluctant expert, technical specialist. So before, this individual hid behind email updates instead of presenting at all hands. Now, after, leads live demos and becomes the go-to for innovation. Yep, this is me. All these are going to be me some kind of way, and I'm pretty sure they're all going to be you. But yes, I even did a presentation here, or an episode, episode here where I talked about sending weekly updates and status reports, because that's what I do. I normally do it because I don't want to be bothered, okay? Purposely for that. I just don't want to be bothered about my statuses or anything like that. If you want any other information, let me know, but I don't want to be stuck in like 31-hour meetings talking about the status. It's just like, go do that, you know what I mean? And I want to make sure that they feel updated and they can come to me for anything. But that's what I did, and I've kind of like, and they'll say, do a slide. Yeah, here go a slide. Well, after a while, they started saying, well, want you to speak. We want you to introduce this to the team and this group and this division. And I'm like, what? Oh, wait a minute now. And if they believe in me that much, right? Because when I say they, I'm like my bosses. You think your boss is going to put you as a representation of himself or herself in front of their peers because they don't believe in you, or they don't think that you have the necessary intelligence, skill set, mindset, ideas, etc., that they want others to hear? Come on now, right? And if they're gonna believe in you, you might as well go up there and be like, oh, I got this. And that's what this individual did. I love it. Leading live demos and answering questions kind of on the fly, just for that, and kind of say, you know what, I didn't think about that, but that would adjust this. It's empowering. I mean, I love it. I didn't realize I would, but I do. I really do. So I jump at all those opportunities at my convenience, only when I have the capacity. But normally I'll say yes for those. All right, last one we have is the invisible leader, or the team lead. So before, you probably downplayed achievements in reviews just to not rock the boat. Afterwards, well, start owning her impact, negotiates a raise, and mentors other rising leaders. Yeah, and this was me. Okay, so it's hard to, when you're doing those reviews, it's hard to almost brag about yourself, isn't it though? And you kind of like, I'm just gonna, if you're gonna rate yourself 1 to 5, I'm always like doing a three, right? I'm just because I'm like, look, I don't want anyone to believe like I think highly of myself and I really didn't, whatever else. And then I thought about this and I said, you know what? If I'm not owning my impact and what I did, and I know what I did was excellent, then they'll never know. They'll never know what I did and the impact, or they'll never reach out to the people in the project and saying like, she says she did all this. Is this true? And they're like, oh yeah, I did that. I did that one time, and it was like the way that my visibility shot up, the way that my money got rewarded to me for that, and then the way that they kind of started presenting me into different others, kind of saying, you know, you are highly respected in this area. I would like you to help me with one of my mentors or one of my mentees, if you will, right? And I want to put them in touch with you as a resource. I mean, I ain't stopped since. Let's just say that right now. And it worked. Okay, we've seen how reclaiming your confidence can light up a room. Now let's talk about why it's not always so easy. Every superhero has their kryptonite, and confidence is no different. Here's what tends to trip leaders up. Frustration number 1, spotlight anxiety. Leaders shy away from visibility or recognition because they equate being seen with being judged, which keeps their confidence and impact limited. I mean, it's true. You can't expect to grow in confidence and grow in impact by just sitting behind the scenes. Okay, and you're not gonna do that by being scared. And it's okay to be anxious, because we are. This is maybe something you've never done before. This is something that you've seen someone do, and you kind of see how they were treated in that space. It's like, whoop, nope, not gonna do it. And in some places that might not be the space, right? But you will figure it out. At the end of the day, don't confuse visibility with performance instead of presence. Okay, your presence is needed just as much as your performance. Okay. Frustration number 2, emotional armor. Past experiences of feeling unseen or unsafe cause leaders to overprotect themselves, which blocks authentic expression and connection. Yes, so even when you've tried, this is now the person that's not avoiding. It's like, I'm trying to get there, but I just feel like I'm not being seen, or I don't feel safe to do so, because it's just, I don't want that level of scrutiny. So I'm kind of like over analyzing it. And I just like, you know what? I'd rather not even take the risk. I'm not gonna even jump. I don't know what's gonna happen. So let's just sit back here and chill. But it doesn't sit well with you. So now you're back in the stratosphere. Now you're frustrated because you're like, I'm gonna leave because I don't feel like I'm being seen. Well, let's talk about it, and look at what are the things that you are doing and what are some other things that you can do to kind of bring that to life. All right, frustration number 3, fear of losing control. Leaders grip tightly to every detail to feel safe, which prevents trust, growth, and stepping into bigger opportunities. i.e. here, avoiding opportunities that feel unpredictable or vulnerable. Well, I told you I was an analytic, right? And I like to be right, and I will overanalyze and won't present an idea, or I used to be, where I didn't feel like I covered all of the gaps and risk and considerations and things like that, okay? Because to me, that was safe. That I didn't want to go in there because it was a great idea. I wanted them to take this idea, but if I didn't consider everything and they threw something out, they're going to lose trust in me. They're going to lose faith in me. I'm not going to do this or whatever. But the thing is, that's how you get growth. That's how you grow. There is no amount of consideration of risk prevention and mitigation and lessons that is going to teach you better than experience. Just that's what it is. And having that control, you can control only what you know, and what you don't know, you will learn. You will learn, and you will get there, and you can add that onto your toolkit, and you become better, right? You want to uncover the knowns. That's why you did all of the over-analyzing, right? Because you want to know. Well, another way of doing that is presenting that, getting that feedback, and feeling, you know what? Let me turn this around, right? It's all about reframing it and changing the spin. Things that are not predictable and unpredictable, they're just items for lessons, right? And they're just things to help improve. That's all it is. And no, you're not vulnerable. You're not vulnerable, right? But that goes to your confidence and how you respond to things. Key point. All right. Last frustration is the boundary blur. Ooh, this was good. This was good. In an effort to prove worth or stay safe, leaders let work and personal boundaries dissolve, draining their energy and making it harder to reclaim confidence. So, in essence, not knowing how to assert yourself without feeling aggressive or too much, right? And I've had to deal with this recently. It wasn't that, I normally don't have to deal with that. The reason I was dealing with it recently is because I'm talking regularly, but for some reason, who I was talking to at this particular point in time, it didn't matter what I was saying. It was just, they always responded the way as if I was being aggressive or being defensive or whatever else. And the only way I could do that was honestly just step back and let whatever theory or conclusion that they thought they had go through. And then as they experience it, they will see that they were wrong. They will see that they were wrong. And usually you will see a reaction as if, basically they never will apologize. No one's gonna, it's rare that you see, I'm not gonna say no one, it's rare, but they will show you in maybe less micromanagement, or they'll show you in more trust during meetings. There's more support in other areas. That's how they probably respond to it. And some people will come up and be like, you know what, I had it all wrong. And I know I was really difficult and really hard on you in the beginning, but I apologize for that, but I see now. And whatever, right? It's just different things of, you don't know what people have been told or whatever. You don't know. And in some cases, people will I don't know, some people just don't want to see you win. Okay. And in that case, you need to move on. Don't stay there and let them people use, take advantage of all your good stuff. Spread them wings. Okay. So we've called out the kryptonite. Now let's grab the antidote. Here are a few practical strategies to help you reclaim your power and keep it. Number 1, micro exposure. Practice sharing your voice in low stakes settings before high stakes rooms. Yes. So remember I told you just put a little toe in there, like dip your toe in the water a little bit, squeeze out there in that spotlight, just see how it feels. Okay. And just again, it's just testing your waters, right? And you want to make sure that it's just low impact, right? It's just to build up. So maybe present, if it's in a work environment, in your team. Your team could be like 3, 4, 5 people. Okay. Things like that. And then gradually in, lunch and learns or other different forums that have a larger audience, gradually go into there, and you'll see a change. You'll see a change, right? Some people start recognizing your name and your voice. And even if it's on these Zoom meetings, it's like, I've heard your voice before, right? Now I can put a face to it. It happens. To me, it happens a lot. Okay, so test it out. In a personal scenario, it might be in just your friend circle or just that one friend, and then to the friend circle and so on and so forth, or your brother or sister, your sibling, before you present it to your parents or something like that. Things like that. Okay. Second strategy we got is confidence anchors. Identify 3 strengths you can mentally tap before stepping into any space. I think this is good. So I can tell you right now what my strength is connection, it's comprehension, and it's credibility. Okay. And those are actually 3 pillars that I use in my life coaching practice. Okay. Or leadership coaching. And it's important for me to connect with my audience, and I connect with a personal story that applies to whatever the topic is, because everyone has one, but it's the catch, right? You draw them in while it's like, wow, I love that story. So storytelling is really good. The other one is comprehension, right? Explaining, like, for example, the way I structure these, I'm saying, here are all the benefits to this, but also I know it's difficult because I've experienced that. And then here are 3 ways to kind of really get over that. That's where your credibility comes in. So how you structure and identify what your strengths are, organize your speech or your presence in that fashion so they always show up, okay, in some shape or form. And the last strategy we got is presence over performance. Pause, breathe, and connect to your values before you speak. Let alignment drive your delivery. That's just a tag onto the last strategy, but again, it will become habit. And of course, like I said before, it's your values. Keep your values first and foremost, okay? It will take you. Don't exchange those for the limelight. Don't do that, okay? We're not doing that stuff here. All right, we've unpacked the fears and shared the strategy. Now let's seal this episode with a spark. Here's the thought I want you to carry with you this week, a mantra to anchor your confidence no matter what space you step into. Every time you walk into a room where you once felt invisible, remember this: your presence isn't a question mark, it's an exclamation point. Own your space, speak from worth, and let your confidence glow louder than your fear. You weren't born to be the background noise to your own calling. I love this, and I love you, okay? And I appreciate y'all coming through for this episode. I really enjoyed it today. As a reminder, if you want more of me that delve into deeper topics, check out my podcast, Moving with Meaning, the podcast. I'm on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Music. Check out my website, movingwithmeaning.com. Also, if you are interested in my path to emotional resilience, I wrote my business memoir that takes you on my 8-year journey in a tough, competitive environment. You can find it on Amazon by the title, Embrace the Code, Cultivating Emotional Resilience in a Tough IT Culture. Here is my graphic with all of my social media connections. Hit your girl up or just follow along. Maybe something will pop out at you. Also, if you are particularly inspired by any of the conversations or episodes and think this would be a good match for your next event, I'm your gal, I'll speak. Or are you interested in converting this into a workshop? I got you covered there. I'm a facilitator. Perhaps this is right in line with your own experience and want to partner with me to add a bit more oxygen to that spark. I'm a coach. Maybe finding the right words for your own memoir or ebook has you all balled up in knots. Well, I'm the ghostwriter that can put your thoughts and ideas to paper. If any of those strike your interest and you just want to talk opportunities, take the first step and book me completely free using this QR code. All right, that is time for today. I truly enjoyed you. Make sure to lead with courage and glow with confidence. Until I see you next time, just keep moving.